fully collapse the inline cable adjuster. Place the EXP disc in primary transmission oil. Drain oil from the primary chain case into a suitable container. Loosen chain tensioner lock nut. Loosen chain tensioner by turning the bolt counterclockwise until it spins freely. Put the bike in gear. Then remove the shift lever and assembly. Remove the derby cover and O-ring. Then remove the actuator spring and loosen the jam nut. Turn the throwout adjuster stud clockwise and remove. Remove and set aside the threaded nut from the clutch actuating mechanism. Then remove the rest of your bolts on your primary case cover. Remove the primary cover and gasket. The cable will still be attached to the cover. Install a clutch spring compressor and compress the clutch spring. This will allow for the clutch circlip to be removed. After removing the clutch returning ring, remove the OEM pressure plate and bevel spring. These will still be on and installed with the clutch holding tool. Remove the clutch holding tool. Hand thread the clutch tool out of the throwout rod and separate the spring from the pressure plate. Remove the snap ring holding in the throwout assembly and remove the throwout from the pressure plate. Remove and set aside the snap ring from the throwout rod. This will not be reused. Remove primary crank nut. This nut is standard thread. Remove clutch nut. This nut is left-hand thread. Once both nuts are removed, remove together the drive gear and clutch assembly. Remove the primary chain. Remove the OEM clutch pack. Once the clutch pack is removed, flip the basket over and remove the snap ring on the engine side of the basket. Press out the OEM center hub out of the basket. This may also be done carefully with heat and an appropriate driver. Heat the OEM basket to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Using heat protection, remove OEM basket and install Rekluse center hub. This piece may need to be pressed into the basket. After the basket has cooled, install the Rekluse 35mm retaining ring. Install the Rekluse clutch pack. First you will install a Rekluse drive plate followed by an OEM friction plate. Alternate drive plates and friction plates until you have installed 8 OEM frictions and 9 Rekluse drive plates. Place the EXP disc on the top of the clutch pack. Re-index the chain onto the drive gear and clutch assembly. Together, reinstall drive gear and clutch assembly. Place wedge tool between primary gear and clutch assembly gear. This will allow you to torque both the primary nut and the clutch nut. Install the OEM primary nut, which is standard thread, torque to 150 foot-pounds. Install the OEM bevel washer, cup side up. Then install the OEM clutch nut. Keep the OEM bevel washer correctly indexed. Noting the left-hand thread, torque to 70 foot-pounds. Install lining plate to the Rekluse pressure plate. Install the OEM throwout to the underside of the Rekluse pressure plate. Install the pressure plate assembly into the center clutch. Install Rekluse pressure plate springs and fasteners. Torque to 9 foot-pounds. Inside the primary case, make sure the clutch actuating mechanism is indexed properly. Install the OEM primary case and gasket. Installing the primary cover, lift the drive chain to clear the chain tensioner. Torque the crankcase bolts to 80 inch-pounds. Install the OEM threaded nut onto the OEM threaded throwout rod. Turn the OEM throwout rod counterclockwise until you feel firm resistance. This point is known as your starting point. Firmly turn the OEM throwout rod another 1 1/4 turns counterclockwise past this starting point. Install the OEM lock nut on the actuating mechanism. You have now set your installed gap. Install mechanism spring. Install the gasket for the OEM derby cover. Lightly apply grease if needed to hold the O-ring in place. Install the OEM derby cover. Torque the derby cover bolts to 40 inch-pounds. Remove and set aside the chain inspection cover and gasket. Verify that the lock nut on the chain tensioner is still loose. Then turn the adjustment bolt on the chain tensioner clockwise until the drive chain has 3/8 to 1/2 inch of travel. Tighten the lock nut on the chain tensioner to 20 foot-pounds. Install the oil drain plug, torque to 14 foot-pounds. Insert a funnel into the inspection window. Pour in 1 quart of OEM recommended oil. Install OEM chain inspection cover and gasket. Torque bolts to 40 inch-pounds. Install shift shaft and linkage assembly. Adjust your cable free play to between 1/16 and 1/8 inch, or whatever your preference is. Rekluse recommends doing a short rev cycle to break the clutch in. Rev the motorcycle 10 to 12 times, then take your bike out for a short ride. The clutch system will continue to break in for the next 100 to 200 miles. During break-in, you may notice some slight clutch drag. Don't worry, this will dissipate as the clutch fully breaks in. Rekluse recommends periodically checking free play gain. Checking free play gain is how you can verify your clutch is still properly adjusted. If you don't know what free play gain is, click this link here to learn more.